Hi there. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet podcast for women who wonder. Frankly, as we go through life, I'm sure we wonder about a great deal. First as little kids, then as adolescents, then as young women, then as transitional women. What are we calling ourselves these days? And then you get to this point in life, or my point in life, when you're postmenopausal and wondering what's next. Wondering if the parade already passed you by. Join me, Wonder Wendy. I'm going to be your host as we talk about some of these unique challenges that face women today in a new millennium, going through menopause and trying to live a rich, full life. There might even be a few men and younger women that want to listen in too. That's okay. But there's a roller coaster and we're all on it. And I'm going to be your guide to help you figure out when you should close your eyes, when you should hang on, and maybe we'll explore some ideas for what works for you if it doesn't work for me, or vice versa. So join the conversation, pick up your favorite beverage, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet.
Several years ago, we retired to Arizona. My husband had sold his businesses. It was time. We've earned it. And for a while, it was really great. There was, constant sunshine, or practically constant sunshine here in Arizona. I would bike endless bike trips up and down the paths that are all over Scottsdale, the Wash Bend, the canals. I would go to the grocery store almost daily so I could make fresh meals. I was learning how to cook for just two people. We were empty nesters, no more cooking for hordes of children and friends and baseball players. Because we used to house baseball players, there were times when we had a very full table and I went through pounds and pounds of meat and pasta and other ingredients. Learning to cook for two is hard. When you're cooking for a group, it feels bountiful and there's energy. Cooking for two is a big challenge. I've gotten better at it. We've also gotten better at just saying, hey, you want to go out? But as time went on, I found myself thinking, is there something more? Is this it? As much as it felt like an idyllic thing that we had worked toward for years, I wanted something more. Have you ever heard that whispered nudge, that feeling that you want more? Not more stuff, because you got plenty of stuff. Not more busyness. We've been busy. We've chased children. We've chased bosses. We've chased employees. We've chased the dream. We don't want to be just busy, but you want more meaning. You want to leave something behind because you have a sense that there's an end now. Remember when you were young and you never thought you'd die? Like you did stupid shit and you still thought you'd never die. But as we get older, we're aware that there is an end, that life is finite, no matter how much modern science is doing. The odds aren't on our side to live forever, honestly. And as I pointed out, Highlander says, who wants to live forever, right? So that whisper, that I want something more. There's something more out there. And you have to recognize the skills that you have, what you bring to the table. You have a voice. You have a presence. You have power. Not despite your age, but because of it. Certainly, I couldn't have been this dynamic person in my 20s. I was an energetic person in my 20s. And I wasn't afraid to talk in my 20s. But I didn't understand my personal power at that point in my life. Too often I gave it away. So you wonderful bucket listers are listening because you have something more to bring to this world. You have something more to offer. And the world needs your voice. Really, they do, especially now. So I wonder, Wendy, the imperfect prophet, here for another episode of, well, the imperfect prophet for women who wonder. And I welcome you to listen, think, pull up your beverage, because it's always more convivial when we share a beverage. You don't have to be drinking what I'm drinking. If it's time for your morning coffee, have your morning coffee. If you're hydrating before or after a workout, get that big bottle of whatever it is you hydrate with. And if it has a supplement powder, great. Whatever you're drinking, it's all good. I'm at the end of my day. It's a lovely glass of wine today. Because, I'm all over the map. And I'm all for people drinking what feels right for them and not feeling any peer pressure to be what I am or what anybody else is. So, finding your voice, hearing that urge to do something more, that life shouldn't be shrinking no matter how much older you get. And the world gives us these messages. And, the world gives us messages all through our lives. So I'm not saying this is exclusive to aging women. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, I saw a speech, and the speaker pulled two people out of the audience. One was a very young woman, probably late teens, and one was a woman in her 30s or 40s. And she challenged them. She said, okay, I'm going to give you some commands, and I want you to act them out. She said, okay, run. And they both stood in place, and they ran and they ran and they ran. She said, okay, good. Now fight. And they kind of both looked at her like, you want us to fight? Not fight, but like spar, like you're punching, like you got a punching bag right in front of you. And so they both started doing that thing that they had an imaginary punching bag in front of them. They were punching at it. And now throw a ball. And they both reached back and threw a ball. They easily took these things on. And then she said, run like a girl. Well, the interesting thing was our mature volunteer kind of softened up her run. Like she kind of got a little softer and smoother, and she bounced a little bit more, and she tried to look cute. And the teenager was like, I still run the way I run. What are you talking about? She said, now punch like a girl. And once again, the mature woman was like, She softened it. And the teenage girl was like, hey, I'm going to mess you up. She was still beating the heck out of that punching bag, that imaginary punching bag. And the same thing happened with throw like a girl. And the speaker's point was, we aren't born with these messages that this is how a girl behaves. This teenager still retains her innocence, that she can be anything, that her running like a girl is her running. It's nothing different. And somewhere my generation, or as we age, was conditioned that somehow as a girl, we do things differently. We have to be pretty or vulnerable. We can't be our full selves. What is that about? So guess what? The same thing is happening as the years progress. As you know, I hate the words aging and getting older, even though they're true, right? But as the years progress, take a drink. We start getting these other conditionings of what it means to get old. Well, my waistline's gotten soft. It's me getting old. No, it's you not moving as much as you used to move when you were younger. Oh, I'm gaining weight. It's menopausal. Well, it could be menopausal. We now have discovered there's a lot of hormone correlations, but there's also ways to deal with that. And you know what? You might weigh a few pounds more, but there's no reason to be out of shape. And there's no reason to eat excessively just because you figure you're going to be out of shape anyway. So take care of this body. It's the only one you've got. Don't listen to the myths and challenge the medical establishment to not just fix a symptom, but to help you be better, to help you live better. So know this is it. That is a thing of the past. You are now going to live into your best self. No shrinking, no hiding, no manifesting what somebody else says you're supposed to be because you happen to be a year older. I'm going to call the bullshit on that one. We're going to name it and we're going to change it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And yes, some of these things are true. Our hormones getting messed up messes up. It messed us up when we were teenagers. It messes us up when we're going through menopause. God help me, I wish I'd been known I was going through menopause, but I just kind of did it. And I survived. And it was years later that they went, you're postmenopausal. And I went, really? I thought it was the stress of a teenage daughter. I thought it was the stress of a husband going through hormonal shifts. I thought it was a husband retiring. I thought it never occurred to me that I was part of the problem. So, yes, there are real symptoms, but you don't have to lean into them. As a matter of fact, I saw an ad for a menopause drug, for want of a better word, the other day on television. Do you ever read the really small print at the bottom of that screen? It's not easy to read, and it goes by pretty quickly. And the interesting thing I thought about this was it said in the small print that 63% of women taking this drug had an improvement in their menopause symptoms. Try that one again. 63% of women taking that drug had an improvement in their symptoms. The next line said that something like 42% of women taking a placebo also experienced relief from their symptoms. Now, there are a whole list of side effects for this drug that ease symptoms for a lot of people, but a placebo improved symptoms in over 40% of the women who took it, which tells me these are women who suddenly felt heard and cared for and felt better as a direct result. So there's a whole lot of things going on. Don't accept everything that's handed to you. Again, find your voice. Find yourself. Don't play into those assumptions. And don't buy into the myth that we're supposed to fade away as we get older because we're not useful anymore, or we're only useful as grandmother babysitters, or I don't know what people think older women do. What do people think older women do? Because I've seen what people think running like a girl means. That's not what running like a girl means. Not if you've watched the women's soccer teams. Not if you've watched the Olympics. Not if you've watched some of these fitness challenge shows. Oh my gosh, these women are doing amazing things. So don't buy into that myth. Use that voice, use that presence, use that power that you've hard earned. You've been through things, lots of things in your life. You know, I've been through 2 divorces and still had the courage to get married again. I had 2 pregnancy losses and still had the courage to get pregnant again. I've been through bad job situations and never murdered a boss. See, I do have self-restraint. I've never murdered anybody. Just to be clear on that one, yet. Just saying. But you have gained skills, and I want you to revel in them. I want you to find your best self and live into that. And that's what being a bucket lister is all about. Now, I'm not saying be perfect, for God's sakes. Being perfect is highly overrated. Whenever somebody looks way too perfect, I assume it's like a portrait of Dorian Gray thing. They must have, painting in the attic that looks like hell, because nobody really is that perfect. If they're working that hard to look perfect, they're covering something up. Always makes me a little bit nervous, makes me a little bit uncomfortable for them. Trust me, I am far from perfect. Far from perfect. And you get me on a day to day, just threw my hair up in a bun. I didn't spend a lot of time on my makeup, wearing just a casual shirt. But I put on some lipstick and I put on some earrings because I wanted to feel good about myself. And that helps me feel good about myself. Maybe you feel good about yourself when you're just wearing chapstick. That's fine too. But don't give up. Be your best self. Lean into your power and use your imperfections to your benefit. They don't disqualify you. They qualify you. And you become more of yourself when you lean into your imperfections. When you're not trying, and boy, I have too many thoughts going in my head right now. When you're trying too hard to be perfect, you're not being yourself. And people sense that inherent conflict. It's a challenge to them because they don't know what's going on with you. They feel that disingenuousness. When you start leaning into being yourself, now I'm not saying lean into being an asshole. If you're an asshole, stop being an asshole. But find your best self and lean into that. And if that is a person who likes an occasional glass of wine, find people who like to drink wine. If it's a person who likes to have coffee, find people who like to drink coffee. And, if it's other people who like to drink Pepsi, that's fine. If you don't like to drink Pepsi, we might not have a conversation. No, I'm not that evil. But find people who speak your language. And also find people who disagree with you and have a candid conversation about, can you tell me why you like that? And I'll tell you why I like what I like. Not because I want to prove you wrong. I just want to better understand what you like about oysters. Yeah, I'm trying to get over oysters. I have had one amazing oyster in my life. And if every oyster tasted like that oyster, I would be such a huge fan of oysters. And while we were on the Cape, a bunch of the kids had oysters. And I was like, I'm going to have an oyster and see what these are like. And then I looked at it and I said, I don't want an oyster. I'm going to stick with my ceviche. Thank you very much. And then the kids told me these weren't the best oysters they'd ever had. So I made a good choice. Why ruin trying something new with something that's not the best? But I was open to it. And I didn't go, ooh, why are you eating those? Those are gross. I don't have to eat them. They are kind of gross. Wait, I'll say that louder to the microphone. They are kind of gross looking. But a lot of foods are gross looking. There's some vegetables that look kind of funky. And why would you eat that? Because once you taste a bite of it, it's tasty. Get over yourself. Sorry, where was I? I was talking about being your best self, your imperfect self. And that's okay. Because that level of sincerity, even when people disagree with you, will attract people to you. Because you're sincere and you mean it from your heart and you're accepting them as they are as well. Oh yeah, that's the other part of it. If you're going to be your sincere best self, not asshole self, you need to accept other people as they are, unless they are asshole selves, in which case you don't have to associate with those people. And if you do have to associate with those people, make the best of it. Why ruin your whole day? Because they're nasty people, right? So I've always known I'm a little bit weird. I don't fit in everywhere. High school was hard for me because I wasn't with the smart kids. I was in college prep classes, but I wasn't in AP classes. I was in drama but I wasn't a true triple threat. Like I'd never had a dance lesson before I did theater. I was learning everything as we went along. I'd never had voice lessons. I didn't have perfect pitch, but I had spirit and I had heart. So I kind of fit in the theater crowd, but in the chorus room, I wasn't the best. I dropped out of band. I was basically a C, B student. I wasn't the smartest kid in the school. I didn't try to be the smartest kid in the school. I never got top grades unless I really loved a class. That was the exception. If something ignited my passion, I got straight A's. But most classes I was bored and had trouble paying attention. So I never fit in with any one of the groups. I didn't hang out with the smokers. I didn't hang out with the brainiacs. I sort of hung out with the brainiacs. I knew a few of the smokers. I knew somebody from every one of the groups in high school. But other than the theater kids, I didn't have a tribe. I was weird. And I've always kind of been like that. You know, in my adult life, I've found I'm a little nerdy for the non-nerdy people, for the beautiful people. I make too many Star Trek references, not enough Star Wars references, comic book references, Time Lord references. So I lose a lot of people in my conversation if I'm not careful. I'm a little bit nerdy, but not overly nerdy. And yet in the mundane world, I'm incredibly nerdy. So I'm incredibly normal in the nerdy world. I'm incredibly normal in the nerdy world and incredibly nerdy in the normal world. Did you follow that? I don't really fit in either, and yet I fit in both. And that's okay. And I think people appreciate that genuineness. And when you start leaning into your best self, which doesn't mean you have to be nerdy like me, you may be into something else, like knitting. I've tried knitting. I can't get into knitting, and that's okay. It is okay. But what I really want you to have, no matter what passions you pursue, no matter how you fight that shrinking feeling, is your own voice. We've talked about this before, and I've said I would do an entire episode on it. I kind of tap danced around it instead. There are lots of ways you can develop your voice. And I didn't realize how much we adapt our voices to the world around us until I took my first voice lesson in my 40s. And the vocal teacher told me, "You're a soprano." And I said, "I was a soprano, but I've lost my range. I don't have the soprano range I used to have." He said, "No, you are a soprano. We're going to get you back there." I thought he was insane. Turns out he was right. When I was working in corporate America, I worked for a company that was very male centric. And I found when I talked like Wendy, which is kind of up here, men didn't hear me. So I started talking more like this a lot of the time, very forcefully dropping my pitch so that I could talk to men and men would hear me. Still annoyed at that. Anyway, with the help of this vocal teacher, I was able to come back up here again and find my real voice, because I'd been shredding my real voice, using it the other way so that men would hear me. Do you know what's funny? I don't find that I have trouble getting men to listen to me anymore. Am I more forceful? Is it that truth of my voice that I really use it now? These are all good questions. But I would encourage you, if you have trouble getting people to hear you, there's a couple different things you want to investigate. Is it medical? Because there are some diseases that affect the vocal cords and you want to get that addressed. Or is it physical? Is it something that can be addressed through vocal training? Do you know that Princess Diana actually had vocal training? Because when she first started being with Prince Charles. I don't even know what we want to call it, but early on in their relationship, she had this very soft little voice. I'm going to put it right close to the microphone so you can hear this soft little voice. And she had to learn how to change her inflection and project. She'd never learned to project, which is amazing. Wasn't she teaching like kindergarten or something? I imagine all kindergarten teachers have to be able to project. But she didn't know how. So you might need vocal training if you if you are literally going to reclaim your voice. And it exists. I encourage you. Or take a public speaking class. Oh my gosh. I took a speaking course in my 30s. I thought I knew how to speak in public, and it shook my world to realize that there were tools and tricks to being a better speaker that I hadn't picked up in my public speaking courses in college. So don't be afraid to take a public speaking course. And there are organizations out there that have them. There's Toastmasters. I actually took one through a women's group. And I know there are some women's groups out there that do offer such things. So put it out there. You're looking for a public speaking class because you want to find a way to better use your voice. And like I said, voice can be both the way you express yourself, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or projection. Do you hear me now? Right? Voice can also be what's coming out. What are the words that you're giving meaning to? And a good speaking course will let you organize. And apparently I need a good public speaking course. A good public speaking course will let you better organize your thoughts and learn how to speak better. And as you can tell, I just got excited and ran over my words right there. My brain was actually going faster than my mouth. Can happen sometimes. So it's the tone. Are you actually speaking your best tone? It's the words you use, the message you give. And your voice is your own self-belief. Do you believe in yourself? And are you sharing that with the world? I want to offer you an affirmation. And I want you to maybe write this down the next time you have a chance. I am not disappearing. My wisdom, fire, and voice are getting clearer. Write that down somewhere. Put it in your journal and then write about that. Put it on a Post-it note. Put it on your bathroom mirror. I love putting a Post-it note on my bathroom mirror because that's a place you look every day. Or put it on the wall across from your toilet. So it's something you see on a regular basis. Put it somewhere that you will see it and reignite this thought. I am not disappearing. My wisdom, fire, and voice are getting clearer. Journal it, post it on a note, tell a friend, but don't play small. And don't keep it to yourself. Put it somewhere where you are either accountable to other people or to yourself. Both work. And you're not late. Remember that. You are perfectly on time for where you are supposed to be. If you weren't already a gold medalist, well, maybe that has passed. We've discussed that. But maybe not. Maybe there's something that you can be a gold medalist in, but maybe gold medals aren't everything. Maybe learning the technique and mentoring somebody else is where you're supposed to be. Maybe you're supposed to work in the Special Olympics. I don't know. But I know that you have something to offer and you shouldn't get smaller. Please, please, please don't get smaller. You're not late. You are perfectly on time. So over this next week, please reach out to me. Let me know what you're working on, either what your obstacle is or what your goal is. I just want to hear these things. I want to hear what you're thinking about and what this has inspired you to do. And until next week, because I come to you every Sunday morning, there's a new episode. Until next week, have a wonderful week. Remember, this is a wonderful world. You just need to look for it. You just need to lean into it and use your voice. You've earned it. Now use it. Thanks. I'm Wonder Wendy, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.
Like what you heard here today? Then we should be friends. I suggest you join my Facebook group. It's a good way to connect. We can have a conversation. Ask me questions, whatever you want to do. It is called the Wonderful Bucket List Life. That's Wonder-Full Bucket List Life. Be a bucket lister and join me on this adventure. Or you can go to my webpage, which is Wonder Wendy and Friends. Join the mailing list, learn about the book I wrote, adventures that are coming up in the future, and other podcasts. I look forward to talking to you soon, and stay hydrated. Have a great day.